They're justified and they're ancient, and they like to roam the land. They're justified and they're ancient. We hope you'll understand. Welcome back, everybody. I'm super proud of you all for surviving what could have possibly been the longest year that's ever been. Let me know if you've had a longer year than 2020. Let's jump back over 30 years in the past and dive into an artist and an album whose history is pretty exceptional, if you ask me. These are a couple of avant-garde, situationist, anarchic artists named Bill Drummond and Jimmy Cauty. They started their careers by burning a bunch of illegal copies of a heavily plagiarized debut album that they'd made in some farmer's field, and only 5 years later were they one of the top-selling singles acts of that year. They would take that success and it would culminate to them burning £1,000,000 as a act that they refused to talk about because they signed an NDA to not say anything about why they burned it for 23 years, and they would go on, do a final show, and delete their whole catalog in the UK, just trying to essentially disappear. Unfortunately, the distributors in the US didn't stop pumping out their music, so they still had the rights to do so, not completely disappearing, and probably one of the reasons I would ever hear about these guys to begin with. So I'm thankful it didn't get totally decimated, but I'm impressed by the artistic act. From their conception in 1987 as the Justified Ancients of Moo, one thing was pretty definite. They had their samplers and drum machines right in harmony with the burgeoning hip house and electronic music waves in Europe at the time. You might know them as the Time Lords if you remember the #1 hit in the UK, Doctor in the TARDIS. They even wrote a little book about the experiment titled The Manual, How to Make a #1 Hit the Easy Way. Using funds from the Time Lords release, they shifted their focus towards a road movie project whose narrative was super meta and it was a little bit too expensive. They never really finished it. It was supposed to accompany this. Their final album, really a collection of tracks throughout their whole career. This is The White Room by the KLF. Released through KLF Communications and Arista Records in 1991, this is a blissed out, time-tested electronic dance experience. From rave fuel to thoughtful down-tempo, come along and I'll be your guide down the path towards the White Room. Starting out with the tease of the closing number, ooh na 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 na, before this Phil Collins-esque drum drop pauses the song and pulls you onto the dance floor for this hip house opening number titled What Time Is Love, LP mix. Dense and seamless, driving layers here, and some CNC music inspiration probably with the line, I wanna see you sweat! One of the grabbiest and more exciting tracks I've come across in the house genre so far. They give you a bit of a chance to cool off with the next track, Make It Rain. This album's central female vocalist, Maxine Harvey, uses her sultry delivery to tease you through this drum and bassy piece. The intro on 3am Eternal foreshadows their exit from the music industry entirely, with machine gun fire opening up this stadium house and hip-hop inspired number. At the end of their last show in 1992, they took out a machine gun full of blanks and fired it over the heads of the crowds. The announcer then saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, the KLF have left the music industry." They would deposit a dead sheep at the after party as sort of a artistic suicide because the sheep had become kind of a symbol of the KLF through their liner notes and through their album covers. Pretty visceral stuff, but more than just pointless pranks, they really knew how to make a statement. Moving on to the Church of the KLF. Take me to the Church of the KLF! It has Maxine singing over a chill little synth orchestra reminiscent of the little snippet at the front or the last track. It's then contrasted with more of that driving drum house beat that leads you pretty seamlessly into the sort of daft punky Last Train to Trans Central.
They present a great sense of urgency with this track, sampling 7 or 8 different vocalists. There's this celebratory feeling, but it's all overshadowed by an impending finality. There's a track similar to this on Mood Food. It was the Mood Swings Overture. Sort of the feeling of hurry up and wait, but it's hurry up and enjoy the wait sort of an atmosphere, you know? Really a celebration before an impending battle, like I said in the last Mood Swings review. Right here. There's a definite change of pace on the album from this point on. From the Floyd-flavored intro on the low-key, mostly spoken word track Build a Fire to the world beat, groovy scatting on the title track. Carrying on through the lengthy but light and airy reggaeton back track titled No More Tears, and with one last shout out to the jams on the last track, Justified and Ancient. The one I've been teasing this whole video. This one's beautiful, simple, memorable, with a great performance from Black Steel here. He seals up the White Room forever. They only did make a handful of appearances, and never as the KLF during their 23-year music hiatus, or really just hiatus in general from the mainstream. They'd recorded a song that would only be released when peace on Earth was achieved, and in '95, when some pretty important peace treaties were signed in the Middle East, they released their song just in those few countries for a couple of weeks, and then in '97 they came back and did a 23-minute performance. They reunited for just that long, and the band they came out as was called 2K, and they were announcing a song called The New Millennium. I would like to watch it, but I feel pretty satisfied with the White Room Road movie I've created in my head while listening to this. I've linked this and the script for the film in the description. They did shoot some of it, but I think it was just more of a driving film than anything, and you get to actually understand what's going on when you read the script. I think it's a pretty fun read given the context of these guys and just having listened to the album. Their 23-year moratorium ended in 2017, and they announced they'd burned the money for fun. They were also announcing that they were returning as the Ancients of Moo Moo, but not to put out music. They released a book titled 2023. They also announced they were restarting their plans to build a People's Pyramid, inspired by the death of Cotty's brother in 2016. This is a pyramid that each brick will contain 23 grams of human ashes. You can buy one on a website, I've also linked down in the description, for £50. The way they advertise it is they say, buy now, die later. Radical stuff from these pretty anti-capitalistic alternative dance artists that turn subverting a cliche into a trope. If you like this, you might enjoy their ambient dance album, Chill Out, and there's actually a more recent group called the FLK who kind of have appropriated these guys' style with a bit of a folky flair. Thanks for coming along on my little journey of discovery of two pretty enigmatic artists. Make sure you hit all those happy YouTube buttons, and let me know if you have any personal stories about the KLF or any of their other many aliases. More happy, clicky YouTube things, links to subscribe, playlists, video you might like over here. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next week, guys. KLF!